Well, welcome again to another Shots at the Shop orientation. And of course, I'm Omar Neal. I'll be serving as one of the moderators for this evening's session. And of course, I'm the former mayor of Tuskegee, Alabama, as well as the host of You Got the Power syndicated radio talk show. And today we're going to continue our discussion on COVID-19, how to engage the community with community uptake. As you know, we are being ravaged by the Delta variant in all of the states around the country. And we know that we hold some of the keys to reducing the devastation that's happening, particularly in the African American community. And so we look forward to having your comments, your suggestions on how we can best address this issue in our community. If you have some best practices that you'd like to share with us, just let us know. And tonight, we're going to give you an opportunity to share what you are doing or what you think can be done to improve our mission, which is to get more people vaccinated so that we can save lives. And so what I like to do now is bring on what I call my sidekick, none other than Dr. T. Thomas. Hey, man, how you doing?
Hey, Mr. Mayor, it's always good to be in the Zoom space with you. And one day we will be back in person again.
Oh, absolutely. One day. Well, and I'm really looking forward to that day. I thought we were going to get there. I was getting really excited the first of the summer, and then Delta hit, and that's when, it was like a regression. It's like, wow, I thought we were out of the woods. But I recognized that we didn't get enough people vaccinated in order to truly beat this virus yet. But we're not going to give up. And I think that's why we continue to grind. That's why we continue to stay here and focus on what we can do, because we cannot give up. We're saving our own lives.
Mr. Mayor, you're absolutely right. Remember when there was the equivalent of spiking the ball on the 30-yard line, thinking that we had a touchdown?
Yeah.
And then Delta arrived.
Right.
Delta is the game changer. Delta is like it's like, I don't want to say starting over, but it feels that way.
Well, it is, Delta is very different from the first variant, from the first COVID. I mean, we're talking about, I was listening to Dr. Cam Webb, and, he said that this is 1,100 times more virulent than the previous one, 1,100 times. That means it has more virus. More virus means more transmissibility, means it spreads faster, people get sicker, etc. And so, yes, this is a game changer. Yeah, so it is like new.
and therefore people are frustrated with, hey, I got vaccinated, why do I have to put back on a mask? And all the precautions, both coming back and being taken away in different parts of the country, where the very things that helped us, the mitigation behaviors, are being rolled back and taken away in terms of policy. And that's a state by state issue. And you're down there in the deep South where we see some of this happening.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that's real important to note is that this is not a United States virus, or this is not just in the United States. It's a world. This is a pandemic. So this is global. And so therefore, they can be another variant that is developed in, or that is developed. I can use the word developed in another country.
That's right. Spinning out.
Makes its way over here, and is something that we could very well not have protection against. That's possible, because that's why it's so important to get everybody vaccinated.
Mm-hmm.
Not just in this country. Certainly, we have no excuse at this point. The vaccine is accessible and it's free. I mean, and so we know that there are other barriers, but right now, no one in this country truly can say that they cannot get vaccinated if they've not been vaccinated and they're over the age of 12, right? Because we have enough vaccines available for them. And we also have the a willingness to come to you if there are areas where we know where you have people that you like to get vaccinated, like we're going to the shops. That's why shops at the shop exist. You know, we can bring it to your shop. We can bring it to the people. It's taking it to the streets. That's what we're doing. We're literally taking the vaccines to the streets to save the lives of the people.
And, you know, I'm getting emails from people around the country with their events coming up. And there's one tomorrow in Baltimore City. I'll bring up their flyer. And we want to ask everybody out there, when you have flyers and things, please share with us. We want to archive those. We want to show them as best practices. But Omar, tomorrow in Baltimore City at one of the salons, we have a Shots at the Shop event, Needle in Arms.
Wow.
And we'll be, we don't have Sherlock here. We'll see if he shows up tonight. Chris will be on the street corner like a street corner preacher.
Right.
And we'll be working the neighborhoods and the local businesses all around the barbershop. So it's not just the barbershop, it's the neighborhood that the barbershop is in.
You know what I'd like for you to do is, while he's out doing that, if somebody can videotape him talking to people, right, and kind of get their responses on certain things, and let's just put that together. You know, you know, Chris on the beat. You know, kind of thing, you know.
Right.
Yeah, I like to see that.
And look who just popped in. Hey, Andre, turn your camera on so we can spotlight you. And we'll do the same with Chris Sherlock just signed in. His highly creative. And we let him know, Omar, we're just bragging on him.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, I brag on him all the time. I mean, he knows that. I mean, so if I'm talking, I'm bragging on Chris Sherlock Holmes.
And Katrina, just flash your camera on so we can spotlight you. Let me tell you something, Omar. This week, just yesterday, Katrina, Fred, and Mike are on their first national conference. Okay, that was in the morning. And in the afternoon, they did their first international conference, all on Zoom, and working at the same time, cutting hair, doing the whole thing. I thought it was amazing. And the Canadians, these guys were out of Toronto. They were all over all over Canada and the United States. They had never been into our cultural space, our barbershop beauty side. That is not a common experience for everybody.
Right. You know, and what's so interesting is that what we're doing is not just, you know, saving our lives. We also are creating community. As we bring people together from different spaces, we're literally creating a kind of family, you know, because you know, when you think about it, we meet here, we talk about things that are important to us, right? We share our stories, right? And that's what families do. And so in a very real way, we become family. You know, Katrina is family.
and I
yes, she is.
I love you.
Hey, Katrina. Katrina's working, got her mic on, and the last time we did one of these, Katrina, and your person in the chair was listening, we end up with a salon chair conversion. Just listening to the conversation. And I'm going to pull it up on the screen in a little bit. Katrina, the Terp magazine, the main magazine of the University of Maryland, has you featured in it, my friend. Somebody
I saw that today. That's awesome. I didn't get a chance to read it yet.
And the young lady who's on the cover with that beautiful hair set that you do for her,
yes.
It's amazing. And so let her know she's an inspiration. So Omar, this message has gone international.
No doubt about it. You know, we always knew Katrina was a star, but now the world knows.
I love you.
We always knew that. I mean, so she was a star before all this happened. You know,
That's
now
right.
it's been discovered.
And you know, Chris Sherlock didn't come up with his magnetism, his ability to connect with people on the street. He
No,
never met a stranger, never met a stranger. That didn't happen overnight. That's a
Right.
skill and a talent he brought to the table. Hey, Chris Sherlock.
What's happening, man?
How's everyone doing? Sorry for the late arrival here. I was in transit from the headquarters, but
I'm just telling
we are
you, man,
here.
whenever you come is right on time, man. It's, you know, whenever it is, that's the time you're supposed to be here. That's
Thanks
how
for
we
the
look.
hospitality. Thank you for the hospitality. Yes, we are moving. We are developing momentum here on this side, and just motivated. Just motivated. Can I just share really quickly what we did today, Dr. Thomas, if you don't mind?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Perfect. Floor is yours, brother.
So yesterday we actually launched our initiative here on this side for Montgomery County, Prince George's, and Baltimore City. We were able to bring on 4 anchors in one day. And when I say they were signing contracts, and they were joining the team, and they were giving their testimony. So I have recorded video from live in shop. I have pictures from shaking hands. Craig over at Coincidental Gentlemen. I mean, these people are real and they are ready. One of the In Vogue hair studios in Silver Spring is located right next to the Goddard School. And I gave her the information. I gave her our collateral. And next thing I know, this lady was outside handing out collateral as the line of parents lined up outside of her establishment. And she said, I'm ready to do. She said, I mentioned this. I didn't know a lot about it. I mentioned it to some of my clients. They happen to be podcast individuals, and we're starting podcasts coming from the shop. These people, they're motivated. This is real. And I'm just so happy to be a part of this. Thank you all for the opportunity.
Man, we really appreciate and love you, man, for what you do and the enthusiasm that you bring to the table, man. You came in with you know, running. You came in feet on the ground running, man, and we really do appreciate that. You know, Doc, it's something that we need to talk about. We've not talked enough about, but you know, we talked about new beginnings, and it's like we're doing it all over again. Well, in a real way, we are, because now we were working very hard, diligently, to get adults vaccinated. Now we got to reboot and get adults to get their children vaccinated. And so that's a whole nother conversation that I think we need to have more of, is how do we now convince even people who got vaccinated to move to the next level to get their children vaccinated? We need to have that conversation.
And the conversation where I've had some teenagers who want to get vaccinated, but they live in a household where the adults in the household don't want to be vaccinated. And so that's tension in the family. And we need to recognize that. How do we help people navigate that? Now, these mandates, folk are saying, has pushed folk to the next level. They haven't given up their, beliefs, whether they trust or don't trust the vaccine, but they know they need a job. And so they reluctantly, by virtue of the mandate. My sister works for AT&T. She said AT&T sent out a letter. If you need to be vaccinated by October X, or you do not have a job. I'm on the board of a hospital, and the board meeting, the president opened with, here's the procedures for the mandatory vaccination of our healthcare workforce and the procedures for dismissal. I mean, it's real. It's getting real. But there are people walking away without a job. There are people.
We don't understand this. Vaccinations and mandating vaccination is not a new thing.
That's
we need to stop acting like this is new. This is something novel. It isn't. We've always gotten vaccinated. In fact, I can't think of the guest name of one of the panelists said that it's only two things, and you remind me of his name oftentimes. He says there's only two things that saved humanity: our ability to clean water and vaccination.
That's Osterholm.
No, it was another person, but that's okay.
Okay.
Also may have said it as well. But it was, he said, and when he said that, I thought about it.
Yeah.
I said, wow, we don't have smallpox,
That's right.
I mean, all of the things that could have taken us out as a humanity, we don't have that because we got vaccines.
That's right.
A lot of things that your children don't even know ever existed is because we got everybody vaccinated, and it's no longer a threat to our society. Mumps and measles and things like that, we got the shots for that, so our children won't have to get the shot for that.
That's right.
So what we're doing now is saying, take the shot for this so that our children and our children's children and our children's children won't have to take the shot for that. We can literally beat this if we do it together. That's why it's so important for us to be enthusiastic about getting people vaccinated. I'm hearing people just on yesterday. I was talking to a friend of mine who said that a very close relative of his just died of COVID. They've not even buried him yet. And he said that he begged them and begged them and begged them to get vaccinated. And they didn't. And they caught COVID and died. Within 2 weeks of knowing that they got COVID, they actually died. And so now they are preparing to funeralize someone that they begged to get vaccinated. You know, that's got to be a rough thing, because the question was, and I know for many people, was I as persistent as I needed to have been?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Did I really, express the importance of it enough? I mean, there can be, not always, but there can be guilt associated with people who know better, because once you know, I say it all the time. You owe, right? Now, I want to bring Chris back on in this conversation. Chris, there are some basketball players that have decided that they are not going to get vaccinated, and I was listening to him, Kyrie Irving and some more, Bill, and there was some more of them, but when I listen to their logic for not getting vaccinated, they're using the same erroneous information on the streets to make multi-million-dollar decisions, right? I mean, come on. I mean, how can you be that? Doc, I know I'm working with the University, so I'm not going to say what I want to say. I'm biting my tongue. I really want to say something, but I can't. I'm not going to say. Chris, go ahead. You talk.
That was an excellent segue. You must have seen the anticipation on my lips to share this hardening story that I don't understand. And like I said, I don't want to take shots at any one particular group of people or say anything that's going to put us in a negative light. But I was walking into the CVS, and a particular religious group was standing outside, and they were selling newspapers. Hey, young man. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm good. Fine. Thank you. Go in the store. Come out. You change your mind? I said, no, I'm good, sir. Thank you. He said, come on, get some of this good vaccine information and save your life, man. I hope you're not out there getting that poison in you.
Wow.
And I had to stop, and I was about to take my card out and give him a card, but I hesitated. I pulled back on it. I said, interestingly enough, this is a good exercise for me because this is what I do in my community. And I started to tell him what I did in my community. And the whole time he's talking, it's poison. This stuff ain't real. And look, we not sick. We not sick out here. And so I said, well, KFF is saying that your particular religious group affiliation is with the vaccine. Absolutely travesty. That's a lie. There's nobody in our affiliation that supports this stuff. We know what it does. And it just all kind of propaganda. I mean, people were literally just lining up on the sidewalk trying to hear, pretty much what was going on. So I just I took a step back, and my parting words to him, I said, so you don't believe it's real? He says, absolutely not. I said, oh, but you have your respiratory cover on your face.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Not challenging him to not think of it. But my thing is that processing. What's the processing? If you honestly believe that this stuff is not real, if you honestly believe that the vaccines are poison and ineffective, then why even follow a protocol such as covering that respiratory? These individuals are confused.
Right. Well, you know, one of the things, Chris, is as well, is that there are going to be people who literally die. And that's the travesty. That's the tragedy. There are going to be people who will literally die because of misinformation, because of disinformation, because of being influenced by people who really don't even know what they're talking about. They heard something from somebody who heard something from somebody who heard something from somebody. And so therefore they're going to make a life and death decision based on hearsay versus going to your doctor or going to people who are medical experts. You know, I don't go to my butcher to get information about my health. That's not what I do. I want my steak from him. I go to my doctor for my health, right? And I think it's important that we start beginning to look at, well, what am I doing? Who am I listening to? Do they have some legitimate, you know, bona fides to really make that assertion? Tell me why I shouldn't listen to you, right? Because they don't. And we need to be more assertive about saying, hey man, don't kill. If you want to die, maybe that's okay, but don't kill anybody else, because you can die because of a lie. You can die because of a lie. And that's what we're trying to stop.
Now that should be a poster. But Chris, it took courage for you not to totally walk away. Okay. And then you realize once you got engaged, a crowd started. A crowd gathered just to hear. And I think that those are teachable moments, but they're also moments filled with a little bit of uncertainty, because you see how he was passionate about his misinformation, right?
Oh.
He was doing street outreach about his misinformation.
Mhm.
And so you were there in your humble way to counter that, but you're not the state health department.
Nope, I
not-
wasn't trying to
Not
be.
the city health department.
Nope. I
And-
realized my battle. And I fought it accordingly. I put out, you know, the information about the misinformation and just challenged him to really do full research on that vaccine, so that his reasoning for it, I did end up getting his reasoning. Mass extermination. He's under the impression that they're trying to use that to kill people off in 3 years.
So they're trying to kill everybody in the world, because everybody in the world is trying to get the vaccine.
And that's exactly what I asked. I said,
All
brother,
the scientists in the world who know about this vaccine trying to kill themselves and their family. I mean, everybody trying to kill. I mean, think about it.
it's
It
sad.
really does not make any sense, right? And so, you know, what we have to do, but, you know, understand this. We have to be equally as,
Yes.
You see what I'm saying, Doc, where I'm going?
Out there, aggressive on the street corner.
Aggressive out there to save lives, because we got to see it from that vantage point. This is not an academic exercise. That's the first thing we need to understand. So
Okay.
when you're out there, Chris, and what you're doing, you are literally, we can't count, we can't measure, but I promise you, you have already saved a life. Already. You have already saved somebody's life.
But the folk, Mhm.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying the folk listening are also picking up on the conversation and the logic or lack thereof. You don't know who was standing there walking by realizing I need to get myself together. And I don't know if you were at a CVS, but see, tomorrow, Chris, tell them where you're going to be tomorrow.
We're going to be in Baltimore City. We're going to be on Pennsylvania Avenue at Ty & Co. And we are putting on a vaccination event. And I am told that as opposed to rolling the tables out, we are going to tie our shoestrings up, and we are going to be circulating information, trying to draw attention and traffic to Ty & Company tomorrow. It's one of those things that, like I say, one event happened, then another event happened, and another event happened. And I'm just sitting back and I'm just like, wow, Reginald Lewis. I mean, this is a celebrity. You know, Congresswoman. This is a politician. Ministers, pastors. I mean, it's just, and when people hear the concept, they are just wowed by it. There was a shop in Baltimore that had a cookie shop right next to it, little hole in the wall. It was owned by an African-American lady, and she was out front with someone from University of Maryland doing something from another one of their schools. And I was getting the snap from the front of the shop. And she says, "Oh, you getting me too?" And so I said, no, there doesn't have to be another one. We're actually out at all the barbershops and salons trying to promote vaccine hesitancy. And we're trying to save people's lives. She said, "Oh, that's sweeter than some of my cookies." And we just had a good laugh on the street, you know, and that's good, something that the groomatory, Mr. Osby can pair up with. Hey, you get a vaccination, go next door and get a cookie. And what I'm finding out is that other establishments, once they find out that one establishment is with it, they start trying to find a way to incorporate what they have going on to make it a community effort. The Quincentennial Gentleman, it's a 5-story building in the middle of Baltimore. You could miss it if you blink. But when you go inside, it's set apart from anything that you've seen in Charm City. One level, a barbershop. The next level, a custom tailored shop for suits where people can go get suits and shoes. The next level, a gourmet restaurant. The next level, a social club. And this is all underneath one brand. And he told me, he said, "I just want the vaccination clinic. They can get their vaccine. They can go upstairs. They can have a bite to eat. They can go get their trim up. They can go get some clothes. I want the visibility for this vaccination.
I love that, man.
Save my community." So
That's powerful.
Craig
That is absolutely powerful. That's
great.
absolutely powerful, Chris. I mean, that's absolutely powerful.
Hey, Omar, and if we use whatever little meager resources we have to support those other local businesses to go in and say, okay, we're going to purchase, $50 worth of cookies. And now we got the businesses working with each other. I love that 5-story building. That's a great idea.
You have to see it, Doc. You have to see it. They started the end shop yesterday. We have 4 weeks left. At the end of this 4 weeks, those checks that you're talking about giving out to those anchors, those big checks, we have to start getting them ready to be fabricated because these shops are rolling in and they are ready. I'm serious. They are ready to be anchors in the community. Every shop that I talk to, they are ready. And I'm not saying an anchor shop per se. Yeah. I mean, they're ready to be a force in their community to have their stories heard. And they have them. They absolutely have them. And then one last word, now keep quiet for the rest of the night.
Hey, hold up. How you say that? How you say that? Right, come on, man. You part of the thing. Come on.
I know, man. I know. I'm not trying to.
If we felt that you was talking too much, you know what I would do, right?
Yeah. You say, "Hey, large and in charge. Take charge." I got you. Okay, I'm just not trying to wear my welcome out.
Let it go, man. I really want people to hear you, man. I want them to hear your heart. I want them to hear your energy. I want them to feel your energy, right? Because that's important.
Yes, I just want to take my hats off to the brother who was here. I believe he was from Ohio. Dr. Thomas, please correct me if I'm wrong. But he said he got a visit from the White House, from Dr. Cameron, I think it was Cameron from the White House.
Cameron
Webb, yep. I believe Dr. Webb. And
that's right.
I couldn't help at the moment but to sort of hold my excitement because I opened up the browser on my hand. Everyone knows I love Yahoo, not Google, but Yahoo. I opened up my browser and I saw that Nicki Minaj fabricated or told a tall tale that the White House scheduled her a visit to find out what her vaccine hesitancy was. The White House recanted that statement and said, "No, we offered you a phone call. Not a visit, but a phone call." So the White House, they're actually contacting these celebrities who's putting these misinformations out. They put them in touch with doctors and they're trying to find out what the source of their misinformation is and trying to correct any of that misinformation. But what stood out to me is that we have a multi-millionaire, mega, big-time celebrity such as Nicki Minaj, and all she got was a phone call from the White House. We have a partner that's partnered with Maryland Hair, that's partnered with Maryland Barbers and Stylists, United for Health, the Wellness Warriors, and the White House came to them. They came to not come to us, not a phone call, not come see us. We're going to come to you. So that's the kind of reach that this network has. And this is the kind of impact that this network has. No publicity, no stylist, no PR had to no, we don't want Nicki Minaj to visit. We're gonna give her a phone call. Oh, but you know what? Oh, those people over there, Maryland Hair, we're gonna pay them a visit and we're gonna see what they're doing. And we're gonna wear out our welcome of 30 anticipated minutes and stay for a whole 2 hours. Come on, get on board, please.
Yeah.
Sorry. Thank you.
I love it. I love it.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's it.
Done.
Yeah, let me say this. You know, what we have here is an opportunity truly to do something, not only, and we talk about it oftentimes, that yes, we are focusing on COVID-19 and getting vaccine uptake up in the African American community. That's our focus. But we have a whole lot of issues that we need to deal with that this network can continue to address. Many of the health disparities that exist within the African American community, the relationship between the African American community and public health and the African American community and the medical industry. All of those things can be addressed with this network.
That's right.
And so that's why it's so important that we stay focused on knowing that we got to do this for the long haul. Dr. T talked about the fact that we spiked the ball at the 30-yard line. Even if we get COVID under some level of control, we cannot stop doing this. Right?
Now, Omar,
yes.
You should know that the conversations have started. Part of it is our tolerance and our patience to let this process work through, because the conversations are very clearly, we cannot go back to whatever was normal. That normal was not good for everybody. It was not good for people of color. And so there's serious discussions right now here in the state of Maryland. I'll talk about Maryland, with legislation and funding to actually bring the health disparity screenings right on the heels of what we're doing in COVID as we've opened up these new opportunities. And as Chris was saying, the state of Maryland has stepped up and embraced Maryland Barbers and Stylists United for Health. That's a state initiative with support for our local barbershops. And as Aaron Perry has said, Wisconsin, the state or the local county has stepped up. We had a barber last week who has a contract with his health department. I think that was coming out of Atlanta. And so these systems have now recognized the role that barbers and stylists can play. Let's make sure they don't, let's make sure that they treat them with dignity and respect. Okay. Let's make sure that even among some of the trainings that we're doing here, that we think about bringing in some media training to help our barbers and stylists deal with the media so they can tell their story, not the story that these reporters might come up and show up with. And there's some new collaterals out there, Omar. I've seen you in them. A new Howard University video that's out. I think we should show this audience a segment of that before we leave tonight. These are things they can use in their local communities to get additional support. Yeah,
I agree, Dr. T. Now, a couple of things that we need to do. You know, we have to do it every time, although, you know, we cannot not see how people feeling, right? And so let's see if we can do this. Dr. T, tell them how we can do the word cloud.
Okay, so this is for everybody. If your cameras are on or cameras off, it's a word that best reflects how you're feeling right now. Put it in the chat. Do not hit return. Just put the word in and put as many words as you can come up with. Just separate them by a comma. Word, comma, word, comma, word, comma. Just start entering them, and then I'll count you down. What I'm going to do while they're putting their words in, Omar, I'm going to share the cover of a recent publication that came out featuring the work we're doing here in Maryland at the shop. And again, being able to tell our story, very important, rather than the reporter telling the story they thought they were coming to see. Vaccine distrust gets a trim. The other thing I like as I've watched this, and Chris, you may have seen it too, The barbershop salon metaphors, get your trim, take a cut out of COVID. All these things work. Program to make barbers and stylists ambassadors for public health goes nationwide. I'll make sure we send a link so that everyone in the listserv gets this. And this is in Katrina's shop. And this is the young lady I was telling you about. When you see the back of her, I'm going to get it wrong. Katrina, help me. I don't know if those are braids or locks or whatever they are. They're beautiful. And
I think they're braids. I think she had braids.
Wow.
okay, is she one of yours?
Hold on for 1 second. No, she's not actually one of my clients. She's Riley, the little young lady that you like. That's her client.
Okay, wonderful.
So Katrina's training a whole nother generation of young stylists, Omar and Chris and all the others out there in the Hollywood squares, and teaching them that you're doing more than just cutting hair. You're addressing a whole range of issues in our community.
Oh my God.
Right.
She really is a celebrity. You really are a celebrity.
Absolutely. Yeah, I told you she was a celebrity, right?
And a hero.
Thank you, guys.
So get those words in. Get those words in. 5, 4, 3, 2.
Okay, so how do-
hit return. And Meg's behind the scenes building the cloud.
Right.
And Katrina, if you got your hands full of hair, call out some words so that we can get them in the cloud.
Yeah, just go on and you put some words in the cloud too, Dr. T, while I'm talking. Make sure that you get you some words in, because we want to know not just how people out there feeling. We want to add our flavor to it. We want to add our spice to
That's right.
station as well.
And Katrina, the client in the chair, get her word and put her word in.
Well, she's gone already, but my word is hopeful, excited. Let's see. Determined. Those
Great.
are my 3 words.
Those are wonderful words, Katrina.
Yes. And I can tell you why if you want to know.
No, yeah, I want to know.
Go ahead.
I wanna
So
know.
I was telling Dr. T.
Hey, you know what? Inquiring minds want to know, Katrina.
Yes, well, I was telling Dr. Thomas, the reason why I'm definitely hopeful and determined is because we see about 200 clients a week in the salon. And I was telling him, out of 200 clients a week, the clients that come through outdoors, about, you could say 199 of them are vaccinated. So it does my heart well to know that my advocacy is definitely working on my clients, those who are hesitant, those who are doubtful. So when I come to work every day, it makes me excited to know that I'm working around a bunch of clients that's vaccinated already.
And therefore, your place is safe. Her
Yes.
salon is safe.
Yes.
You know, that's another area that I don't think we've had enough conversation about, is you are literally protecting yourself when you protect your environment,
That's right.
right?
That's
And
right.
that's why the advocacy on the part of the stylists and the barbers is so, it's, you know, you can literally say it's selfish and it'd be okay. You're saving your own life, right?
That's true.
You're trying to protect yourself as well. So as you protect others, we literally protect ourselves as we protect others. You can't protect others without protecting yourself. And that's
true.
and vice versa. And I think that's so critically important.
Now,
All
Omar,
right,
do you know that you remember when you was a kid and somebody in the group does something wrong, but everybody get punished? You remember that?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Oh, I brought back a memory, didn't I?
Oh, yeah. I got a flashback, man. Don't do that to me, man.
So what Katrina is describing about her clients and her stylists that have just naturally gotten themselves vaccinated, it's a safe place. I'm saying that because news story, I read all the stories every morning. Another state, somebody got infected in a salon. They closed the whole salon. Everybody in the salon had to go into quarantine. Nobody's making money. All right. So our barbershops and salons need to be safe, have masks and other equipment so that they can keep their clients safe and keep the business open. That's key. I think
there are thousands and thousands of schools that had to close already around the country. Thousands. Now, can you imagine this? Now parents have to figure out a way to accommodate their children, particularly if they are too young to stay by themselves, right? They are back at work, so obviously they can't help their children with remote learning because they literally have to go to work in order to take care of the bills and responsibility of the household, right? So we have a whole nother area to address because of the pandemic not being under control. So it's not just, and we talk about it from a lot of different perspectives, that this pandemic kind of permeates all of our activities. If you look at it, even if you don't have COVID, if you have another ailment or have an accident or something like that, the hospitals do not have capacity for you today. I'm talking about tonight.
That's right.
And so when we're looking at it from that vantage point, we got to begin to say, okay, well, maybe we all need to be in this to get everybody vaccinated so we can protect ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's how it's critical it is. That's why nobody should be on the sideline.
That's
Everybody
right.
need to be in the game.
Okay, so take a look here. Go ahead, Gulshan, and put that in present mode and make it full screen. There you go. And Omar, I just want to say this. All this week, we've been doing international, national town halls, a whole training with health department people from through NACCHO, and their clouds don't look like the barbers and stylists. Their clouds need what you see here.
Well, you know what we do here,
Look at this.
and I don't know, and then we know that it's not all from what we do.
Right.
But you know, in spite of us giving out information and addressing the issues, we also invoke hope. You know, hope, you know, is faith, and faith is the substance of things hoped for and evidence of things unseen. Although we know what's happening out there, although we know over 2,000 people die every day from COVID, we know that right now, right? We're hopeful because we know that if we continue to do what we're doing, we don't get weary and well doing, we will beat this virus. We can beat this virus. And we have to look at it from that vantage point. We got to win this contest.
Yes.
The virus is coming against us. We have to fight it like we're fighting for our lives.
That's
and
right.
Because we literally are.
Indeed.
Right? And that's the approach we have to take. And so this hopeful and being motivated and blessed and privileged and informed and aware and joyful and thankful and excited and peaceful and determined and ready. Yeah. We're ready. We're ready to deal with this. Man.
I'm encouraged. And I think that this audience will be encouraged by the work that you and working with Reed Tuckson and Cam Webb at the White House around this whole Tuskegee legacy and the work you did coming out of Howard University. I think this audience could see some of this hope and some of the aspects of this word cloud in that segment. I want to show that in a moment, but right now, Omar, let's find out what our colleagues, scholars here think about what's in this cloud. If they can put a heartbeat on it.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and jump. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Chris.
I'll jump out there with the privilege. I just feel privileged to be able to have access to the vaccines. I see where there are shortages in third world countries. I see where, you know, we're so privileged because we are going on our third round, and there's some people that only have one in their arm. So for that reason, you know, I'm just fortunate to be in a position, in the area, in a time, the era where we don't have to have that issue of wondering when and where we can get one. It's just, why haven't we got it? That's our biggest problem. You know, it's people that want it.
You know, Chris, you make a thing. Everybody needs to ask yourself, and this is obviously that probably nobody that's, you know, on this webinar or in this orientation that's probably not been vaccinated. I'm just suggesting that probably most people, if not everybody, has. But I think everybody needs to ask themselves, why haven't I gotten vaccinated? Over 200 million people in this country alone have been vaccinated. Why haven't I been vaccinated? That 99% plus % of the people in ICU beds and are dying from COVID are unvaccinated. Why have I not been vaccinated? When you really stop and think about it, when you think about it, you have to ask yourself, why am I playing Russian roulette with my life? Because that's literally what you're doing. And Dr. T, I heard somebody say this. Now, this may be, and it can't be an exaggeration, but these were doctors told me, right? They said this. They said it's not if you get COVID, it's when you get COVID, because COVID is that prevalent. And what the vaccine does, it protects you against COVID. Being out there without the vaccine, without engaging in public health mitigation measures, masks and social distancing and washing your hands and all things like that, you are literally exposing yourself to death. Not just illness, to death, because we never know how we're going to fare.
That's
if
right.
if we get COVID. There's some people say, everybody don't die, but you don't know. There's 700,000 found out today. We reached that dreadful milestone of 700,000 people today.
More than the 1918 Spanish flu.
Right.
We have exceeded that number. 100 years ago, we have exceeded that number.
With the vaccine.
With the vaccine.
With the vaccine. I mean, come on.
So I cannot thank the barbers and stylists enough for them both hanging in there, both recognizing their moment has arrived. This is the moment. And Chris and the folks listening, we've brought barbers and stylists together who are in the same city but hadn't worked together before. That's the kind of knitting together of a national network that really makes this transformative. Really makes it transformative. Anybody else out there want to comment on what they see in this word cloud? Sharon Harper, I see you. Sheldon, Marcia, anybody? Dane Sims. Well, I tell you,
make sure you're not on mute. We want to hear your voices.
And, sometimes people are driving home and they're driving or cooking dinner, got the kids, and we're their radio time. And I love that too.
Right. Oh, absolutely. So, but everybody see and everybody know what's happening, and they've already made their contribution, Doc. So
there it is. There it is. And look, sometimes Omar will have a hopeful big in the middle, and all around it would be little really negative, depressed, anxiety. None of that. Even the ones around the edges, all positive. Right. I'm not seeing that in other clouds we've been doing with medical professionals on the front line, with public health professionals, but we're seeing it with our barbers and stylists. I think they're on a different kind of front line. And as Katrina described, the number of people that have made the the journey from hesitancy to confidence and got vaccinated, she's excited. They're excited. That's what you see here.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. Those people who are on the front lines in the hospitals, they're seeing the result of the people who are not getting vaccinated. So I would be having that negative, I would be having that gloom over me as well for all I'm seeing is people not vaccinated. We, on the other hand, we are seeing people who were at the hell no wall and jumping over it. So for us, we are.
That's what gives us hope, because we're making a difference. We're seeing the difference, right? And so every time, one hurdle is every time we go over a hurdle, that's another victory. Every time person gets vaccinated, that's a victory. And when we celebrate it, everyone, like we talk about, how many people know, every person, that's a victory, because that's a life saved.
That's right. Every arm matters. And Chris, you just picked up on the whole public health piece. Our hospital colleagues are literally at death's door. They're watching it happen. And we've interviewed some of them, and we showed a video last week where they were describing it. They have to go through this 1, 2, or 3 times. It's overwhelming. They're doing multiple every day. That's why they're feeling that pressure. On the other hand, in the shops, this is where prevention comes in, Chris. Now you've seen the public health piece. We have just prevented somebody from ending up in the hospital. That's why you see hope, joy, excitement, determination.
Right. And, and although, we have funeral home directors and morticians, they deal with death every day. They don't want to deal with this kind of death.
No.
And they talk about it oftentimes. They say, we're overwhelmed. And not only that, many of them are dying.
That's right.
As well. And so, this is real to them. And so it's important for us to sober up, right? And understand that we are all in this together. And the only way we can defeat this virus is that we do it collectively.
Mm-hmm. So
and
go,
everybody
Sean.
needs to get vaccinated.
Go, Sean. Yeah. Come on back to the Hollywood Squares. And mandates help. But if people are hearing, when people sit in their chair, they work for the post office or they work for a company and they're mandating and they're hearing pushback on mandates, share that with us, what those concerns are. Hey, Andre. I see Andre's driving. So Andre.
Right. I'll be with you in a minute.
Okay. Hey, Andre, I'm gonna set something up. Hey, Omar, let's take him to Howard.
Okay, let's go to Howard University. We were with Reed Tuckson as well as Dr. Cam Webb and of course others with the Ad Council's mini documentary that was done. And there were several mini vignettes of 1 minute PSAs, public service announcements that we were a part of. In fact, the Ad Council said this is the largest campaign that they've ever done in the history of the Ad Council. And I was fortunate enough to be a part of that campaign.
Well, Omar, it's saying something that the Ad Council shared that with you. I'm going to let this speak for itself. We got a couple of segments. And here's the first segment.
COVID-19 has changed how we stomp the yard and feel the beat. Now it's time to take the first step that lets us get back to strolling instead of scrolling. Before we can safely come together, we need the facts. As COVID-19 vaccines become available, you may have questions.
Is it safe?
Should I get it? Is it free?
It's okay to have questions. Now get the facts about COVID-19 vaccines at getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision for yourself and for your fam.
Now, Omar, and I'll stay in this mode because we'll jump to another segment. But Omar, you were there. You're now looking at the final product. Just a comment on what you just saw and open it up for anyone who wants to comment on that segment.
We started out several months ago, and you notice when we came up, or at least we found the videos of the cultural way by which people were reaching people with the hip hop, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
What we realize is that when people see real people having real conversations, and we take it out of the academic and put it into a space where people feel comfortable in having a conversation. When we find out, and when we are not so, judgmental of people who are asking legitimate questions, when you're open to answering legitimate questions, then people are more apt to believe you. And I think that's what that segment said. It's okay to ask those questions. It's okay because there are answers to those questions. And if those questions are sincere, then the answer will respond to that, should move you to vaccination.
That's right.
If you really want to know, and I think, Chris, that's the key. People have to really want to know. You can't just be asking questions to validate your hesitancy. You have to ask questions to get information so that you can move from hesitance to confidence. And that's the key.
And Chris, I'm going to set up the next piece while you comment on that. And the quality matters, Omar. The production quality matters. That was beautiful, man. That was beautiful.
You took the words right out of my mouth, Dr. Thomas. I said from start, I was looking at the 4K. I pay attention to detail. So I have to see the detail. Not only did the detail grip me, but the message. What I received from it, college kids are the most reckless. And when I was down Virginia State in 2001, and I'm just sitting there trying to think about what we were doing in college. I think we had the sniper and like September 11th, 9/11 going on in 2001 when I was a freshman in college. So now their sniper or their 9/11 is the coronavirus.
That's right.
Right. Yeah.
They feel it necessary to even pose the question. And the fact that they're posing the question on a college campus and that they're college kids that are like-minded like that, that may bridge the gap for the older generation.
Yes.
And for the younger generation to say, hey, college students are getting it, the high school students can get it. And then the older generation is like, well, maybe if college is getting it, then the young adults can get it. It just has a trickling effect. So I feel that the target audience was so appropriate that it could reach masses. That was awesome.
And Omar, I don't know why it is, I'm still sending you news clips just this week, news clips of somebody using Tuskegee syphilis study as the excuse or the reason why. And sometimes there's other people not from our community saying, well, this is why Black people aren't getting vaccinated. Mm-hmm. Now, let's set that record straight. That's also in this Howard piece. Let me set that segment up. And then get your feedback. And here we go. Let's make sure this works.
Piece that you're about to see now, this piece was just entered into a film festival on Martha's Vineyard. And so we cut our response to this just last night. So this is the piece that really made national news. In fact, Beyonce's mother reposted this piece that you're about to see now.
Here we go.
Say the name correctly, and that's critically important as we tell the story. So I'm proud to have met the descendants. I'm proud to have met the people behind this idea, because we need to band together in our storytelling. We need to band together in our communities.
I've had someone tell me that they were concerned about getting the COVID vaccine because of the syphilis study. They didn't even know my grandfather was a part of the study.
Tuskegee is a very sacred place. There's no way you cannot feel history.
Think about the Tuskegee Airmen and all of the greatness that they did, and then to find out that in this same space, such an atrocious study was being heaped upon our men.
The study began in 1932. Segregation and Jim Crow were the structures of how our society functioned.
What happened with the men and their families? It was the untreating of syphilis.
The original title of the study is Tuskegee Study of Untreated Syphilis in the Negro Male.
They were not treated for the disease that killed them, that made them blind.
My great-great-grandfather, John Good, he was of the clergy, he was a farmer. He was a syphilitic in the study, and our family really didn't talk about it.
Both of my great-grandfathers had been a part of that study. They were sharecroppers, and then later they were able to get land of their own.
On my right here is Alec Ware, we call him Big Daddy. On my left here is Papa Frank Cooper, and he went blind at a young age.
I am the daughter of one of the men in the study, Freddie Lee Tyson. I'm also the daughter of Johnny Mae Neal Tyson. I have to include my wonderful mother because the two of them was on the journey together.
My uncle used to always run after us. We'll get your ear, I'm gonna get, and we just run and run and run, and then we run right back to him.
My grandfather and I were phenomenally close. He worked as a firefighter where the Tuskegee Airmen trained. Actually caught my first fish with my grandfather.
My father had congenital syphilis from his mother.
There were a number of opportunities for the men to receive treatment, and they were very intentionally barred.
And everyone involved in that study wanted it to go untreated until their death. Their body would then be sent to be autopsied to see the effect.
Around 1947, penicillin became widely accepted and widely used. The doctors of the study prevented the men in the study from getting penicillin.
The first thing those doctors should have done for these gentlemen was to make sure that each and every one was treated.
It was the fall of '72. My brother Wallace read an article about the study. A couple of days later, my father received a phone call indicating that he was in the study.
When he found out what the study was really all about and that he had been used and treated as a guinea pig, there was just a lot of shame. I'm so sorry.
In comparing what's happening today with COVID, with what happened back in '32, I see more of a contrast than a similarity.
A lot of misinformation is out there that is causing people to think twice or to hesitate. And one of them is the fact they think the men were injected with syphilis, and they were not.
And they were not injected with the spirochete that causes syphilis.
They were not being treated. That is very different from what's happening with COVID-19. The vaccine is being made available to anyone who wants it.
Too many people are using the study as a way of causing their own selves to deny access to vaccines that would save their lives.
And when we talk about COVID-19, for example, we're not talking about the non-treating of Blacks. We're talking about the treating of all people.
The ways in which COVID-19 ravaged Black communities showed that we have underlying vulnerabilities when something like a pandemic hits.
That to me really connects what's happening now with a very important historical legacy. As a result of what happened to these men, it changed the course of American clinical research. It created the institutional review boards, which is a very important intervention that says that there must be people who can examine every study that is done on human beings in this country.
Wherever there's research that's happening, there has to be informed consent documents that are signed, not just when participating in clinical trials, but also if you're going to get any type of a medical procedure. Those things came because of that study.
It boils down to truly understanding the concept of community, which is two words, common unity.
The path from tragedy to triumph travels along the path of learning.
I've taken both of my vaccines, and you're talking about something that happened to my family.
We can't do this by ourselves. In order for us to be healthy together, we need to all be vaccinated.
All right, let's put some snaps together for that. That is amazing.
Yeah.
Yes,
well,
that was definitely amazing.
That particular video has now gone all over this country, in every major network in the country, and of course, it is now being even viewed overseas.
Now, I'm going to drop that in the chat for everybody who's on, but we're also going to send it out on the listserv where you get the message about the different events we're doing, because while you've seen it here, it could be that many people who sit in your chair have never seen it. And so let's get it out there. Let's repost it on social media and give our folk a chance to really understand the context. So take home message. You know what, Omar, was so interesting, and everybody listening, that back then they did everything within the government's power to keep those men from being treated. Okay, that was the message they're telling us. And look, actually, for the first time in the history of the country, they mobilized every health department in the country to say, if these men show up, don't treat them. Now look what we're doing with NACCHO. the National Association of City County Health, using that same infrastructure to help our barbers and stylists find a clinical partner to make sure our community is treated. That's a big difference.
Right. And that's why it's more of a contrast than a similarity. And so when people use and invoke the word Tuskegee, they really, and use it as an excuse not to get vaccinated, they really don't understand what happened. And that's why it's important for us to know personally. So now you know from people, I'm a descendant of 3 individuals, not just one. That we talked about my uncle Freddie Lee Tyson, but I have my great uncle Rufus Neal and his son Reuben Neal were also a part of that study, and so 623 men were part of the study. Over 100 of them died as a result of complications from syphilis, and they were watching them die. Not only that, they allowed them to cohabitate within the community, spreading syphilis to their wives and significant others, to their children, obviously born with birth defects, etc. All of this took place while they watched and observed, understand this, having the vaccine, having the cure for syphilis, but denying people that. Now, to say that that is why you are not taking the vaccine, that's the antithesis of what happened at Tuskegee. That's the opposite of what's happening at Tuskegee. You are technically doing to yourself what the government did to those men at Tuskegee.
And so if Chris, downtown Baltimore, come over here, young man, and grab this newspaper. Don't take that poison. Don't you know about Tuskegee? When it comes up as a reason, we got the answer, okay? And that's from the survivors themselves. Now, here's what's interesting, Omar.
I know personally, right? The former mayor of Tuskegee, right?
Yep.
A descendant of those people, and this is what he told me.
Yep. And so that means being able to counter that. It will come up, but this is a strong counter. Now, look, Omar, the state of Alabama is red on fire with COVID, but Macon County, where you are, where the Tuskegee syphilis study took place, you got a bunch of barbershops and salons on board. You've got people who are vaccinated in Macon County, Alabama, but it's kind of, it's a story that's not broken out because the whole state is on fire.
Well, we lead the state in vaccination uptake. And so, the point of the matter is we are, and we are constantly dealing, because there are still individuals who don't trust the system. I mean, we understand that, but we cannot give up on people. We have to stay on the ground. We have to stay determined to make sure everyone that we know, everyone that we see get vaccinated. We must do this.
Wow. I know I said I would keep my mouth shut earlier, but I couldn't help. This has been.
We know you like a preacher. You can't do that.
This has been weeks. So in my previous life, like I said, I did investigations. So when I first came on, I didn't know who any of the players were. I knew who nobody was. So I started doing my research, and I typed in Mr. Omar Neal, and that's one of the first things that came up was his uncle, Freddie Lee Tyson, was a survivor of the syphilis Tuskegee experiment. So I said, whoa. We have someone who is connected with the Tuskegee experiment that's advocating. If they're not standing up saying, I'm not getting it because of what they did to my family in the Tuskegee experiment, to my family, to my blood in the Tuskegee experiment, how do you have the audacity to cite that? That's just throwing a disjustice to all the men. That's an insult. That's an insult to use that. And hearing it is one thing, reading it is another thing. But Mayor Nim, I said when I tell you seeing it had an impact on me just now, and I knew the story. I looked at the story. I knew your history. I knew your relation to it. I kept a closed lip on it until the appropriate time came up about it, and this was the most appropriate time to throw it out there. Maybe you didn't want to know that, that your uncle or your family members were a part of that. So I chose not to do that, but I'm so glad that I was able to see that just now, because what I saw was a different story. I saw the residual effects of the family.
Right.
It wasn't the men. I'm sorry, I can't relate to the actual men that were going through. It was before my time, so I really couldn't see it and feel it. But to see people who I'm currently and seeing the residual effects of it, to hear the story just put me in a different mindset. To see yourself and to see your family members and to see those pictures come to life off of this screen, it framed my mind into a completely different mindset that I had, even with the understanding that I thought I had about Tuskegee. I had no clue. So I thank you for making that available to us. And I just saved that link and I'm gonna dive into it. That's good stuff. That's good stuff.
That was great. Yes, that really was great.
And the Ad Council just does great work, and again, national visibility. Sarah, if you're out there, I want you to queue up the Delta version of the hip hop video, or and let me know when you have that ready.
Before you do that, Deborah Rowley Draper is the young African American film director, and it was her company that put that together. So it's an young African American woman who did the work and put that piece together.
Now, it'll take a moment before we get everything popped up, but Omar, say a little bit more about her. Everybody can't do that story, no matter what their racial background, but if you can say a little bit about how she got it right.
What she about did, her? She didn't create the story. She let the story reveal itself, and then she captured the story. Okay. Like you remember when you said that, a lot of times the reporters will come in and they have a story in their mind, and what they try to do is find pieces to fit their already existing narrative that they have.
Yeah.
She didn't come like that. She wanted to hear our voices, and then she was able to synthesize the voices of the descendants and to paint a picture that gave you the essence of what the experiment was or the study was. And Chris, although, let me tell you what the name of the story was so we understand. It was not the Tuskegee syphilis study. It was the United States Public Health Service study conducted in Tuskegee. You see, when you say the Tuskegee syphilis study, it gives the onus to Tuskegee, right? But it was not Tuskegee. It was the United States Public Health. And what Dr. T said that makes all the sense in the world, the same public health services are now providing vaccines for everybody.
Right.
That's
right?
awesome.
Right. You see what I'm saying?
Wow.
That's the result of what happened. So, there's a blessing and a lesson in everything. So although my uncle went through what he went through, and my cousins and my neighbors, people that I know, that they went through that, as a result, we can get a vaccine. As a result, the IRB, the Institutional Review Board, came out of that study, which means that there is a protocol for all clinical research that must follow a certain pattern.
Right.
Wow, that's awesome. That is awesome. Wow.
Right.
Yeah, that was
give you something to think about.
Yeah. So they can't just do anything, right? Because of what happened at Tuskegee.
And in our School of Public Health, we make sure that the students know that that's that positive legacy. We have to remind people that suffering has had consequences that have, as Dr. Tuckson said, completely changed how we deal with human subjects. Now, the other piece, Omar, is, and we're giving resources to the barbers and stylists to use on their social media, on their flat screen TVs and their shops, is the work that was done, again, cultural tailoring, using hip hop as a way of getting the message out. When we were vaccinating the young kids, the 12-year-olds and up at Katrina's, the young man who ends up with his picture on the front page of the newspaper getting his vaccine has a T-shirt on, and the T-shirt is Tupac praying. I mean, the reporters could have used any image. Why? And what did that tell us? For that young man, hip hop, Tupac speaks to him. That's they're telling us how to reach them.
Awesome. Yeah.
So Katrina, when you see this next piece, which now brings in the hip hop with the Delta, this is the latest version of the hip hop video. If that's you, Sarah, make sure you click those buttons on the way in for optimizing sound and everything. If so, go ahead, run it.
Got the vaccine, you got the vaccine, they got the vaccine, we got the vaccine. We can get back to normal, let me inform you, let's all get the vaccine. It's about community immunity. I'm talking unity for you and me. If Doc says it's good, trust me, it's good. Now let's all get the vaccine.
Dr. Moflo,
It's the hip hop doc A.
we gotta make this pandemic stop.
We on the clock, folks are not trying to get the shot. While we wary of these barriers, cause there's already a lot.
Alpha, beta, gamma, tricky variants like Delta. Others trying to break down our
They
barriers.
spread to different areas across all nations. We'll never see the end if we keep on waiting.
Let's get it straight. If people don't vaccinate, we know that COVID will continue to spread and mutate.
There's no debate when we gotta keep our loved ones safe.
From the school to the workplace, stay on the case.
And get the facts, ain't no time to relax, and that's fact. Help the body attack so our lives can bounce back.
To be free to move and do the things we do.
We gon' do what we gotta do to get through.
Wow.
So let's get some snaps for that creativity.
That's what you call cultural
Yes.
selling, guys.
It gives you a sense of getting the vaccine in the simplest form. Like you say, however you have to reach the community. However
Absolutely.
you have to reach them.
And that's what's
And
all
if it's
about.
through music and if it's through music, then that's the way you reach them.
I
So you can get to this
saw
community immunity.
Community. Yeah.
I saw Dane Sims open up her mic. Go ahead, Dane Sims, and reflect if that was you opening up your mic. Katrina, you got a house full of young people.
Yes, I was when I was watching the video, I said that could even reach my grandson. He would sit there and watch that. The beat was right, the
Oh, wow.
characters were right. You know, it was all about the community and reaching immunity. It was really great.
You know,
I
when you think of,
I think that'll make my kids advocate for the vaccine.
you know what, think about it. Right now, we're trying to get young people vaccinated, right? Why is that going into every public school in the whole country, right? For them to understand, to put it in language that they can understand. Things
Exactly.
over and over again. Let me say this, and we talked about it before. If you've not seen something 7 times, you don't remember you've seen it.
That's what it takes.
It takes 7 exposures of the same thing for your mind to grasp it and internalize it. 7 exposures. That's why you see so many McDonald's. You know, why do you think they keep doing it? Because they know it's going to take 7 exposures. And they know every time it's an exposure, you're not going to be there to watch it. So they have to do it repeatedly till you get your 7.
That's awesome.
And you know the thing about Katrina, Mike, and Fred, and the barbers and stylists in the network, they know when that person sits in that chair, they're going to see him again. They don't have to close the deal all at once. They're going to see him again. In fact, they see him more than the people see the doctor.
I agree.
You know,
That's why it's definitely about that relationship. It's definitely about that relationship when your clients sit in your chair, you know, because you have so many topics that you talk about. And health is one of them. So I just, it's amazing to sit back and watch change behind my chair. And every day, you know, people make their minds up to get vaccinated and save their lives just because they had misinformation. They didn't even understand the information. So it's important, you know, to be able to educate and advocate for the vaccine.
Now Katrina, one of the
simplest
things,
form. I wish I could play that video.
Katrina,
I
I'm
wish
gonna
I
make
could
sure.
play that video in the salon on the television.
Well, we're going to hook.
How can I
up-
do that?
We're going to be hooking up the shops so they can stream content like that and other content like this webinar right here. And Katrina, you've talked, you've given us a general sense of what happens and stories. Give us just one story, Katrina, one example that you saw that conversion.
Well, let me see. I've had several. Let me see. Well, in the beginning, well, what was amazing to me is honestly, when the vaccine first came out, every client that sat in my chair said, I'm not going to take that vaccine. I'm not getting vaccinated. No, I'm not going to be the first one to get it. And then as time went on, and when they realized we was in a major pandemic, their mind shifted. So they wanted to know exactly what was really going on. They didn't know about this new vaccine that was coming out, you know, and how it was created so fast. So they was confused. So it was amazing when we just had dialogue behind my chair, and I watched every client that sat in my chair change their mind. I felt like I was saving. I feel like I was a witness in the world trying to save the world.
Well, that's where you really were. You
Yes.
really are.
I was like, wow, this is amazing. And like I said, all of the clients that come through the door, the majority of them are vaccinated. It may be one that say, I haven't gotten it yet, but I'm gonna get it.
Okay.
So, like Dr. Thomas said, it's amazing to be able to go to work and know that you're honestly protected by what you do in the community.
Because I know at one point you were nervous about going to work.
Very nervous. And now I can go to work and, you know, take care of my family and survive without worrying about being compromised.
You know what? That's a great word, Katrina, too.
Yes.
You literally are compromising yourself
Every day.
When and particularly when you don't have people who are vaccinated. We do know that there are breakthroughs, even for people who are vaccinated, but we do know that that is rare. And we do know that the complications of COVID are less severe when you're vaccinated. We know that we got enough data now to know that hundreds of millions of people have been vaccinated, and so we know what happens and how we're being protected. And I think it's important for us to do this. Now, this is one of the things that we talked about as well, Dr. T. And I think it's good to have Katrina on because she's actually boots on the ground, right?
Yep.
It's how to have the conversation when people have vaccine hesitancy. See, because in how do you have the conversation when you're hearing disinformation being touted in the barbershops? So how did you deal with that, Katrina? Maybe Katrina didn't know I was coming back to her. I maybe shouldn't have given her.
She may have stepped away. She's
here now.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm driving home. No, I said I'm a listener first. So when my client sat in my chair and they talked about the vaccination, it was all misinformation. They gonna put a chip in us. They trying to depopularize. I was like, why they gonna depopularize us? Well, that's not gonna be good for the economy. I mean, it was all types of stuff. So I just began to take note from Dr. Thomas, all the information he was sending, and it was amazing that I can share that information with my clients. You know, and I always tell them, I'm not the medical professional, but here's the information I have for you. Now you take it and you do a little more research for yourself if you're still unsure.
And she just works with them gradually. And it still does a great job on the hair regardless, right?
Yes. Transforming lives.
And then they make the transition, Omar, right in the chair. It is a perfect setting for the kind of work that we need to do and the healing, Chris Sherlock. There's been a lot of stress, and with all the people who have passed away, some of our barbers and stylists and their clients know somebody who has died of COVID. We got to deal with that grief. And that can happen also in the chair, Omar. When we think about addressing these social determinants of health and the chronic health disparities, let's not leave out mental health. Let's not leave out emotional wellness.
You're absolutely right. Because right now, man, almost everybody, if you think about it, knows someone who died of COVID, or certainly know someone who contracted COVID.
Yep.
Now, whether or not they died of it or not, we certainly, everybody, just about, with few exceptions, know someone who either died of COVID or contracted COVID. Wow, think about that. And that's with all of the over 200 plus million people. It's 320 million people in this country, something like that.
Yep.
Right? And everybody in this country knows someone who's either had COVID or died of COVID.
Okay. And you would think that'd be a motivator. All right. Now, let me just give you one thing that we learned when we were in Baltimore County at the African American Cultural Festival, and we embedded our COVID education and our pop-up barbershop right there and right 10 feet away from a vaccine. We did it co-location together in the health pavilion. Mm-hmm. I'll never forget the 70-year-old. She was in her 70s. Who got vaccinated, Omar. She was so excited. Now, this woman could have been vaccinated months ago.
Mm-hmm.
My videographer was talking with her, and here's what she learned. She lives in a multi-generational household. So her kids, they all live, she lives with one of her adult kids, and they don't want her to be vaccinated. So she said, this is very interesting, Chris. She said, I'm going to do this for myself. So she took that liberty argument and said, I'm going to do this for myself. But then she said, Omar, I'm not going to tell them. And to me, that told me the other challenge we have as we pull people off the Hell No Wall. When you get that sticker that says I voted, that's to encourage somebody else to go vote. That sticker, look behind Chris. I got vaccinated. He's got that on his virtual background. Proud of it. We got people living in households or in peer networks or social networks where they want to hide that they've been vaccinated. We got to work on that to make it more okay and normative.
Right. Well, what we have to do is those people who are not afraid have to promote their protection.
That's right.
That has to be kind of a mantra, right? We're going to promote our protection. I tell anybody, I'm vaccinated. My whole family vaccinated. I don't know anybody in my family at this point that's not vaccinated. Right? That's everybody. That's when I say everybody, everybody.
And everybody needs to know that Macon County, Alabama is vaccinated.
Right. You see what I'm saying? So people need to understand that we are taking this very seriously. This is not a game. We're not trying to trick you. Why would I trick you with me?
Hey, Omar, can you believe it, man? We got 3 minutes. You better take us out.
That's a good analogy.
It makes sense. Like, who am I?
Yes.
While we still got Katrina, take us home, brother.
Yeah. Let me say this. I always tell you all that, little things happen. This is Tuskegee News. And if you notice, that's me right there.
Oh, look at you. I love it.
This is the newspaper that just came out yesterday, and front page news. And I'm the keynote speaker for the NAACP conference this year, and this is their 69th conference, so 69 years that they've been doing this in the state of Alabama, and I'm this year's keynote speaker. And so I'm so honored to do that. And that's coming up, this is coming Friday, not tomorrow, but the following Friday. And so I'm trying to put my spirit in the right space so that the message that I give will resonate in the right way. And so I'm excited about that.
So,
that's awesome. That's awesome.
We've had Katrina's camera on and Chris. So you have a shorter take home before you take us out of here. Go ahead, Omar.
Well, let me do this. Let me say this. That
I'm in my car, you guys, on my way home from work.
Absolutely. Let me say this. I always like to start out with thank you. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you for the thoughts of doing this work. Thank you for your commitment to do this work, because we are making a difference. When you hear Katrina talk about almost all of her people, with very few exceptions, if any, have gotten vaccinated, and how many people she has converted, technically, it's almost like a religion. People have been converted, right? To save their lives. That you have literally, not figuratively, Katrina, you have literally saved lives. There is nothing greater that you could actually do than to save a life. What
Absolutely
is for a man or woman to lay down their life for a friend.
I love that.
And so we thank you for the love that you've given, for you, Chris, to go out and beat the streets and encounter whatever you encounter, but stay positive and continue to give people information, knowing that the right information allows people to gravitate to take care of themselves. And Dr. T, thank you for your vision. Thank you for staying focused, even when others get out of focus. You stay focused. Thank you for listening to contrary thoughts and considering them, knowing that we are all possessors of some truth. And as we bring our truths together, then and only then do we get closer to the truth. Thank you for sharing your truth. And as always, I'd like to leave you with these two words. Remember that I love you with a perfect love. But more importantly, remember this: you got the power. Until next week.
You got the power.
All right, that was awesome.
Next week.
You just gave us a whole word, a ceremony, and a testimony and everything. Thank you. We needed that.
Hey, you know what?
That was awesome.
Let me just say, next week we're going to open this up. We've been inside our Shots at the Shop bubble. Next week we're going to open up to live stream on Facebook and YouTube and let a larger audience come into this conversation. That's what Delta means. Let's spread this word broadly. We're going to open up the doors, folk. All right. So come prepared to tell your stories from the front lines. Okay, Omar.
Yes, Miss Trina. Yes, Miss Trina.
I need a background like you.
All right, I'm gonna send it to your email. I'm gonna get your email and I'm gonna send you this background.
We'll hook everybody up.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Be safe going, everyone.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.